Before the cars, before the mansions, before the empires built from nothing, there was a secret. A single principle that Napoleon Hill insisted was the cornerstone of every fortune ever made. A principle so powerful that, if ignored, it could destroy even the most talented dreamer. And if applied, it could turn the most ordinary man or woman into a giant of success. This is not hype. This is not vague motivation. This is the exact idea that turned struggling salesmen into millionaires, broke dreamers into empire builders, and left behind a trail of proof written in the stories of Carnegie, Edison, Ford, Rockefeller, and hundreds more. Napoleon Hill revealed it in his interviews, his writings, and his lectures, but most people skim past it. They nod, they highlight the line in the book, and then they move on, never realizing that this was the one thing that made all the difference. But here's what makes this even more remarkable. Hill didn't just stumble upon this secret. He was commissioned by Andrew Carnegie himself, the richest man in the world at that time, to spend his entire life studying the patterns of success. Carnegie gave him access to over 500 of the most successful people in America: presidents, inventors, industrialists, and empire builders. And after 25 years of research, after interviewing titans of industry and analyzing their methods, Hill discovered that despite their different backgrounds, different industries, and different approaches, they all shared this one common thread. Stay with me until the end of this video, because once you understand this secret, truly understand it, you'll never look at your own goals, your own failures, or your own future in the same way again.
Napoleon Hill called it definiteness of purpose. Not talent, not intelligence, not luck, not connections, definiteness of purpose. He discovered that the richest men of his era had one thing in common: a single, burning obsession. Something so specific, so sharp, that it acted like a magnet, drawing resources, people, and opportunities toward them. While the average person drifts from one idea to another, changing jobs, changing dreams, chasing shortcuts, the successful person is locked on to a single mission. They live it, breathe it, and refuse to be pulled away. Hill wrote, "There is one quality which one must possess to win, and that is definiteness of purpose, the knowledge of what one wants and a burning desire to possess it." But let me be crystal clear about what this means, because most people misunderstand it completely. Definiteness of purpose is not simply having a goal. It's not writing down, "I want to be rich" or "I want to be successful." Those are wishes, not purposes. True definiteness of purpose has 4 critical elements that Hill discovered in every millionaire he studied. First, it must be specific. Not, "I want money," but "I will earn exactly $100,000 by December 31st of this year through my consulting business." Second, it must have a deadline. The subconscious mind works with urgency. Without a timeline, your purpose becomes a someday dream. Third, it must be written down and reviewed daily. Hill found that successful people didn't just think about their purpose, they reinforced it constantly until it became an obsession. Fourth, it must be backed by a plan of action. Every millionaire Hill studied had not just a dream, but a roadmap for achieving it. This wasn't theory. It was the conclusion after decades of studying the titans of industry. Andrew Carnegie, who rose from a poor immigrant to one of the wealthiest men in history. Henry Ford, who revolutionized transportation. Thomas Edison, who failed thousands of times before perfecting the light bulb. Each of them had different talents. Each of them had different upbringings. But every single one of them had this one secret in common.
Now you might be wondering, why is definiteness of purpose so powerful? What happens in the mind when someone truly embraces this principle? Hill discovered something that modern neuroscience has now confirmed. When you have a clear, definite purpose, your brain actually rewires itself to notice opportunities that were always there, but previously invisible to you. He called this the reticular activating system, though he didn't use that scientific term. He simply observed that people with definite purposes seemed to attract exactly what they needed, exactly when they needed it. Think about it this way. Have you ever bought a car and then suddenly started noticing that same model everywhere? The cars were always there, but your brain filtered them out until they became relevant to you. The same thing happens with opportunity. When your purpose is vague, your mind filters out the very chances that could change your life. But when your purpose is crystal clear, your subconscious becomes a heat-seeking missile for everything that can help you achieve it. Hill interviewed Henry Ford extensively, and Ford explained it this way: whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. But Ford's real secret wasn't just positive thinking. It was that his definite purpose to create affordable automobiles made him see solutions where others saw problems. When Ford decided he wanted to mass-produce cars, everyone told him it was impossible. The technology didn't exist, the workers weren't skilled enough, the costs would be too high. But because Ford had definiteness of purpose, he didn't accept these limitations. Instead, he asked different questions. How can I make this work? What would have to be true for this to be possible? Who can help me figure this out? That's the power of definiteness of purpose. It doesn't just change what you do, it changes how you think. But here's where most people go wrong. They think definiteness of purpose is about willpower or motivation. It's not. It's about programming your subconscious mind to work for you 24 hours a day, even while you sleep. Hill discovered that successful people didn't rely on inspiration. They created systems that made success inevitable.
Here's the tragedy. Most people will never experience this power. Why? Because they quit too soon. Because they scatter their energy. Because they allow distractions, doubts, and other people's opinions to break their focus. Napoleon Hill warned that the world is full of drifters, men and women who live without a central aim, who wake up every morning reacting instead of creating, who spend years moving in circles and wondering why nothing changes. And Hill didn't say this to insult anyone. He said it to wake us up, to force us to confront the uncomfortable truth. If we don't decide what we want, life will decide for us. He once wrote, "The majority of men meet with failure because of their lack of persistence in creating new plans to take the place of those which fail." In other words, people don't fail because the dream was impossible. They fail because they let go of the dream too quickly, or because they never truly defined it in the first place. Let me share with you the most common mistakes Hill observed in his research. Mistake number 1, multiple major purposes. Hill found that trying to pursue multiple major goals simultaneously was a recipe for mediocrity. The human mind can only maintain burning desire for one primary objective at a time. Those who scattered their focus achieved little in any direction. Mistake number 2, changing purpose when obstacles appear. Every millionaire Hill studied faced moments when their purpose seemed impossible. The difference? They changed their methods, not their purpose. They adapted their strategies while keeping their eyes fixed on the target. Mistake number 3, seeking permission from others. Hill discovered that most people unconsciously seek validation for their dreams from family, friends, or society. But here's the problem. People who haven't achieved what you want to achieve are not qualified to judge whether it's possible. Mistake number 4, confusing activity with achievement. Being busy is not the same as being productive toward your definite purpose. Hill found that unsuccessful people often worked harder than successful people, but they worked on the wrong things. The most dangerous mistake of all, according to Hill, is what he called the poverty consciousness. This is the belief that there isn't enough success to go around, that someone else's gain must be your loss, or that you don't deserve extraordinary achievement. Hill spent considerable time studying this phenomenon because he noticed that even people who understood definiteness of purpose would sabotage themselves with limiting beliefs about what was possible for someone like them.
Look at history. Colonel Sanders was rejected over 1,000 times before someone agreed to sell his chicken recipe. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination. Edison burned through more than 10,000 attempts before creating a working light bulb. And yet, they didn't stop. They didn't drift. They had definiteness of purpose. But let me give you some examples that Hill documented personally, because these stories reveal the true power of this principle. The story of Edwin Barnes. When Barnes decided he wanted to become Thomas Edison's business partner, he had no money, no connections, and no experience in Edison's field. But he had definiteness of purpose. Barnes walked into Edison's laboratory and announced his intention. Edison later said he was impressed not by Barnes's credentials, but by his determination. Barnes started as a sweeper in Edison's lab, but he never lost sight of his definite purpose. Years later, when Edison invented the Edison dictating machine, Barnes recognized the opportunity others missed. He asked Edison for exclusive rights to sell the machine, and within a few years, he had made his fortune and achieved his purpose of becoming Edison's partner. The story of Harriet Beecher Stowe. Hill studied successful women as well as men, and Stowe's story fascinated him. Her definiteness of purpose was to write a book that would end slavery in America. People told her she was just a housewife, that she had no political influence, that books don't change the world. But Stowe's definiteness of purpose was so strong that she said the book wrote itself. She felt as though she was merely the instrument through which the story flowed. Uncle Tom's Cabin became the best-selling novel of the 19th century and played a crucial role in turning public opinion against slavery. Hill's own story. Even in Hill's own life, he spent 25 years pursuing the creation of Think and Grow Rich. He endured rejection, poverty, criticism, and self-doubt. At one point, he lost everything and was forced to start over completely. But he refused to quit because his purpose was bigger than his pain. His definite purpose wasn't just to write a book, it was to create a philosophy that would help ordinary people achieve extraordinary success. When people finally read his book, they saw success principles. What they didn't see was the years of struggle, the endless persistence, and the unshakable focus that made it possible. The book has now sold over 100 million copies and has created more millionaires than any other single book in history. That's the power of definiteness of purpose, sustained over time.
What Hill discovered through observation, modern science has now explained through research. When you have a definite purpose, several powerful psychological and neurological processes begin working in your favor. The reticular activating system. This is your brain's filtering mechanism. It determines what information gets through to your conscious mind and what gets filtered out. When you have a clear, definite purpose, your RAS starts noticing opportunities, resources, and connections that support your goal. Selective attention. Studies show that people with clear goals literally see more opportunities than people with vague intentions. It's not that more opportunities exist for them, it's that their brains are programmed to recognize them. The Zeigarnik effect. This psychological principle explains why unfinished tasks stay in your memory better than completed ones. When you have a definite purpose that you haven't yet achieved, your subconscious mind continues working on it even when you're not consciously thinking about it. Confirmation bias. Usually, this cognitive bias is considered a limitation. But when you have a definite purpose, confirmation bias works in your favor. Your mind actively seeks evidence that your goal is achievable and filters out discouraging information. The commitment escalation effect. When you make a public commitment to a definite purpose, you're more likely to persist even when facing obstacles. This is why Hill recommended sharing your definite purpose with others. It creates psychological pressure to follow through. But here's what's truly remarkable. Hill understood all of these principles decades before science had names for them. He saw their effects in the lives of the successful people he studied, and he developed practical methods for harnessing these mental powers.
So, how do you use this in your life? It starts with a question. What do you want, truly, specifically, and with obsession? Not more money, not happiness, not vague ideas, but a clear, definite purpose, a target so sharp you can describe it in one sentence. Hill taught a specific process for developing definiteness of purpose, and I'm going to share his exact method with you. Step 1. Write your definite major purpose. Use this formula. I will specific achievement by specific date by specific method, and in return I will what you'll give in exchange. For example, I will earn $100,000 by December 31st of this year by building my consulting business to serve 50 clients, and in return, I will provide exceptional value that transforms their businesses. Step 2. Read it twice daily. Hill insisted that you must read your definite major purpose out loud when you wake up and before you go to sleep. This programs your subconscious mind to work on your purpose 24 hours a day. Step 3. Create a mental movie. Visualize yourself already having achieved your purpose. See it, feel it, believe it. Hill called this synthetic imagination, the ability to create mental pictures that don't yet exist in reality. Step 4. Develop burning desire. Purpose without passion is just a wish. You must fan the flames of desire until your purpose becomes an obsession, something you think about constantly and are willing to sacrifice for. Step 5. Create your action plan. Break your major purpose down into smaller, specific steps. Hill found that successful people always had detailed plans for achieving their purposes, and they updated these plans regularly as they learned more. Step 6. Form a mastermind alliance. Surround yourself with people who support your purpose and can help you achieve it. Hill discovered that no great achievement was ever accomplished by one person alone. And then, persistence. Unstoppable persistence. Because the world will test you. Doors will slam in your face. People will laugh at you. Your own fears will whisper that you should give up. But that's the test. That's the moment when definiteness of purpose separates the few from the many. Hill wrote, "Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. The obstacles aren't trying to stop you. They're trying to prepare you for the success that's coming."
Napoleon Hill's secret is not hidden anymore. It's right in front of you. Definiteness of purpose is the one thing that built millionaires, the one thing that has turned ordinary lives into extraordinary stories. The question now is, will you drift like the majority? Or will you define your purpose and chase it until it bends the world in your favor? Because Hill warned us, a quitter never wins, and a winner never quits. Your definite major purpose is waiting for you to discover it, claim it, and pursue it with relentless determination. The same power that built Carnegie's empire, Edison's innovations, and Ford's revolution is available to you right now. The only question is, are you ready to use it? If this message hit you today, don't let it fade away. Subscribe now, because in this channel we dive deeper into the principles that can rewrite your entire future. Leave a like if you're committed to finding your purpose and sticking to it. And share this video with someone who is about to give up, because maybe all they need is this reminder. The secret is no longer hidden. It's in your hands. Remember Napoleon Hill's words, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." Your definite major purpose starts now.